Cowboys Nation? Another good morning to you. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're checking it out. If you are checking it out in the morning, make sure you guys check out our live show tonight, 8 p.m. Dallas time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, when we got Tony the Thrill Hill coming into the cave. It's going to be a lot of fun talking about Super Bowl champion, talking about one of the great Cowboy receivers of all time, easily top 5 all time. So going to be excited about that. So make sure you hit that subscribe, like, share, hit the alert bell, all that good stuff, get it out of the way. But just, continuing with the offseason, seeing a lot of draft talk. And I'm like, man, can't believe we're already talking about the draft. I thought we'd be talking about this NFC championship game. But, in the world of Cowboys Nation, things don't always work out the way we like. So just wanted to talk a little bit about, Dak Prescott, where the Cowboys are, what you're seeing in the media. Obviously, Troy Aikman, he came out and had some words about the Cowboys and about Dak Prescott. So just want to see if I can get this clip rolling, just some audio, and see if we can kind of dissect what he's saying about the Cowboys first, and then we'll go into Dak Prescott. Let's see here. Get it going. Get it going. Where are we at? Oh, there it is.
Shocked, yeah. In fact, I did not. My season ended last weekend with the divisional round, and so I'm free this weekend. And I really anticipated that Dallas would be playing in the championship game, and figured that it would be in San Francisco. So I was planning on going to the game. Didn't book a vacation.
And I was planning on going to the game last weekend. So Troy and I are in had similar fates and similar plans. And I'm sure Cowboys Nation did too, thinking the Cowboys were going to handle their business and move on to the divisional round, and then hopefully handle their business going to the championship round. Let's hear what else he has to say.
After my season, and so I really liked this team all year long. Thought they were really talented. I thought Green Bay could give them some problems. I get a chance to see all these teams. Matt LaFleur is outstanding. I thought he'd have some things that gave him a chance, and he clearly did. But I thought that the Cowboys would. I thought they'd separate themselves there in the second half, and it didn't happen. It was just, it's the same old story, and I don't mean that as a criticism. It's just when I'm that.
Same old story. It is a criticism, and it should be a criticism, because this Cowboys team has underachieved, especially probably most this year. This is probably one of the most disappointing ends of a season as I've had as a Cowboys fan. And I think in Cowboys history, I mean, I don't go down back to the 60s. I know there was a lot of disappointment. Next year's champions, we kind of saw this story play out a lot in the 60s and early 70s, if you know your history. But this Cowboys team and the way the NFC was, I mean, when you're seeing the Bucks and you're seeing the Packers, in the divisional round, it's gotta sting, especially if you're a Cowboys fan. And I'd throw the Eagles in there as well. I mean, ultra disappointing season for both teams.
About the Cowboys as to why they have struggled. They've put together some really great regular seasons, and they just have not, for whatever reasons, played their best football when the games matter most. And that's what you have to do. I mean, that's the key to winning in the postseason and then getting to the Super Bowl. So what the answer to that is, I'm not sure.
Well, I sure hope he knew an answer, because I don't know either. But it does come to the conversation, which is always going to center around the quarterback, and it's Dak Prescott. And can Dak Prescott get over that hump, lead the team to a Super Bowl? And there's examples out there. There's struggles out there that teams have, players have overcome that. We're going to get into another video clip of Aikman talking about Dak Prescott. And he makes which is a comparison some people have. Calm down. I'm not saying by their stature and where they rank as quarterbacks, but Peyton Manning had similar struggles early in his career. Now, obviously by his 8th season, which is close to Dak's, Dak's going to his 9th now. By his 8th season, he won a Super Bowl. So it took him a while. It took him 3 years to win a playoff game. So, I mean, and those whispers were going over Peyton Manning, and he obviously overcame that. And then you have other quarterbacks. I mean, as great as Aaron Rodgers was, you're talking one Super Bowl in his whole career. Getting to the Super Bowl and win is hard. But what I would say for the Cowboys and for Dak Prescott is the performances. The performances haven't been the best for him in the playoffs, losses, I would say. He's had some good performances and wins. He's had some good performances and losses, especially early on with the Packers. We talked about that one early on, and then also in with the Rams where they just got run shot over them on the defense. This one is another one where there was concern. Looked a little lost, deer in headlights, and this and that, and early on. But I think as Dak has seemed to do in the playoffs, he kind of gets going in the second half, but it's too little too late when you're down as many points as they were. And the defense wasn't making any stops. So again, I'm not throwing it all on Dak. I mean, he's got to take his brunt of it, but the defense didn't do him no favors either. So it kind of goes hand in hand with some of the struggles of the team. And you're talking about a team where their defense was the strong suit for us. And how could you ever imagine that they would give up that many points? So but looking at Dak and the shadows that he's in the shadow of Aikman, he's in the shadow of Roger Staubach. I mean, that's as a Cowboys quarterback, that's what you're always going to be measured to. Tony Romo had to deal with it. He couldn't get over that hump. Danny White had to replace Roger Staubach, and Danny White went to 3 straight NFC championship games, but lost all 3. What would you have now, Cowboy? Would you be okay with 3 straight NFC championship games if you lose all 3? I wouldn't. I want to win a Super Bowl. That's the measuring stick, and that's kind of where you're at as a fan. But you want to, this team has been talented, and you want to see that progression, and we're just not seeing it. And it's like, what do they do? Of course, I think it's evident if your name's not Patrick Mahomes, I don't care how much they pay you as a quarterback, you need pieces around you. And I think for Dak, the complementary piece that he really didn't have consistently was a running game. And I think that's got to be a focus and a commitment to the running game. Not only having the running game, but a commitment to the running game, I think is very critical for Dak Prescott going into next season. But let's see what Troy Aikman said about Dak, and then let's just talk about it a little bit.
We all draw on our past experiences, and when we don't have great experiences, those then become hard to overcome. And I think that's the challenge for Dak, because the question for him, and really for the team, isn't so much what happens in the regular season now, it's how are they going to play and how is he going to play once you get into the postseason. That makes for a long year when that's the way it works. And I've been there as well, as far as when the expectations are that high. But I still believe in Dak. I think that until you do it, there's always those criticisms. And I know Peyton Manning went through that his first 3 years. He didn't win a playoff game. And then you look back on it now, you can't imagine that anybody questioned whether or not he could win a playoff game. And, the Cowboys have been through that earlier in their franchise history. So the pressure gets higher, for sure. As they go into this offseason and then next season. But it makes it hard. It makes it hard to come back and put themselves in a position to do it all over again. Everybody talks about the proverbial window and how long it's going to stay open. It's hard in this league to keep it open. We just assume that because these key guys will be back, that they'll continue to play at a high level, win 12 games, and put themselves in that position. And it just doesn't always work that way. So hopefully they have more opportunities ahead of them.
And I can take these off a little bit. But yeah, you hear Troy Aikman, and they talk about the window. And to me, I think the days of the window, I don't know if they've kind of passed. I think as long as you have a quarterback, a top 10 quarterback, probably I'd go top 12, top 15 quarterback, I think you have an opportunity. The way the playoffs are set up, 7 teams are in there. Only the 1 seed gets to bye. You have an opportunity to get hot and make a run if you've got, the right pieces around you. So you don't necessarily have that. It's not the window where it's, we got a 3 to 5 year window, then the whole team's going to change. As long as obviously you got to draft well. Cowboys have drafted well, but they're going to have to make smart strategic free agent moves. And that's what's going to get you over the hump. You've seen the teams do it. The blueprint's there. And hopefully if Detroit gets in, then you're going to hear totally different. You're going to say, oh, well, we did it through the draft. Well, no, not necessarily. You traded, right? They traded Stafford. They got Goff. I think they got a couple picks with it. Obviously, they turned that into players, but they got Montgomery. I mean, they've made some free agent moves, and so, but they did primarily do it through the draft. So that would blow that argument up. But so hopefully Detroit doesn't win a Super Bowl. But if you look at some of these other teams, that have won the Super Bowl in the past. Obviously, the Buccaneers. Tom Brady goes without saying. The Rams trading for Stafford, bringing in, Von Miller, bringing in some big names that worked well for them. So you do see the trend where you've got to make some free agent moves, good free agents. And I think for the Cowboys, the free agent moves, they don't need the superstars. We got enough superstars. What they need are some blue collar dogs, some guys that all they care about is football championships. They don't worry about the extra stuff, all the noise outside. They just want to focus on winning a Super Bowl. That's what they need. Some of those guys, that mid tier player, especially at the linebacker position, even running back, just that type of mentality is what you need within those positions, just in my humble opinion. So hopefully the Cowboys make that move. Now with Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, they're going to say they like the process, they do this, but the process has been 30 years going, ain't win no Super Bowl, ain't even sniffed it. So sometimes you got to change the process. It's like I say, doing the same thing, over and over every year, getting the same results is a definition of insanity, something like that. So Cowboys got to shake things up. And for Dak Prescott, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a few weeks ago, we're talking about an MVP season. We're talking about this, but like Troy Aikman said, the way he's going to be judged always is going to be in the playoffs. And is he going to win in the playoffs? And that's going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to be a lot of pressure for him because even Cowboy fans, I mean, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, the Cowboys can start 5-0, 6-0, 7-1, 8-1, 9-1, 10, and we can go 13-3. We can go, or 13-4, 14-3, 15-2. And nobody's going to feel comfortable until the playoffs start. That's when it's going to say, okay, great regular season again, but I got to see it in the playoffs. And that's a lot of pressure that's going to be put on this team, Mike McCarthy, but especially Dak Prescott, because that's what the media is going to say for 17 straight weeks, 18 weeks, 19 weeks, 20 weeks, all the way up until as far as they go. So is Dak Prescott ready for it? I think he can. I think he can lead this team. I know there's some things out there, obviously, with CeeDee Lamb's mom and this and that. I mean, again, I did a video on it. If you missed it, you can watch the other one, and we talk about it. And I don't really worry about what family members say. It's just is what it is. I know there was something that people were surprised that no players kind of come out and said anything. CeeDee Lamb didn't come out and say anything, but CeeDee Lamb, I mean, I just don't know if those players are kind of decompressing and kind of getting away. But I think Dak's a leader. I think he's well respected in the locker room, and I don't think there's any kind of fracture or anything like that within the team. But ultimately, like I said, with Dak Prescott, it's going to be Super Bowl or bust every year that he's with the Cowboys. I don't care what his stats are. I don't care what the win total is. That's unfortunately the way he's going to be perceived and compared. He's living in that shadow of Aikman and Staubach, and that's the way it's going to be. And that's what you sign up for when you become a Dallas Cowboy quarterback, fair or not. Now, 12 wins. Like I made a comment about Jim Harbaugh. Surprised he left Michigan because I just think it's less stress than the NFL, and some said less stress. I don't agree with the NIL and everything else. And what I say is, I mean, think about it. You got the Cowboys on 3 straight 12-win seasons, and we're talking about firing the coach and get rid of the quarterback. You got the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Sirianni, just got off a Super Bowl last year, made the playoffs this year, and they want him gone. They want everyone gone. They want Hurts gone and all that. The pressure in the NFL to win now is like no other. And that's why you're seeing a lot of coaching changes, and you see more and more player changes or pressures. They get the contract and everything kind of changes on them. So that's kind of the stuff what I talk about when I talk about the pressure and to be a coach. I mean, Harbaugh in Michigan, they hadn't won a national championship on their own since the 30s. They shared one, I think, in 96 or 97, something like that. I mean, he's there for life. He's a Michigan guy. He could stay there for 20 years, and they're always going to go back to that national championship game that he won. I mean, you look at Dabo, you look at these other ones that win it. I mean, you're pretty much set for a long time. And if not, they're paying you a ton of money. And the good thing in college is you can rotate your guys a lot. So the NIL for some teams can actually be a benefit because if you are winning players are going to want to go there if they get an opportunity to start, especially if it's a high quality quarterback, receiver, skill position, because they know that's the best pathway to the NFL. So the backups you could lose. So I get all that. I don't want to get into college. We'll do that later. But that's the thing with Dak Prescott. So what do you think? Can he get out of that shadow? Is he ever going to be able to take this team to a Super Bowl? Is this kind of him and McCarthy are on this 1 year deal? And if not, you just kind of, I don't want to say blow it up, but you can't continue down the same path, getting the same results. I've said it over and over. They're going to have to make some changes. They're going to have to get all in on free agency and really build this team around and see if they can make it work. And with the salary cap, to me, it's a joke. You can always work around it. So give me your thoughts, give me your comments, like and share. Hopefully we see you guys tonight because it's going to be a lot of fun with Tony Thrill Hill. And again, we've got a lot of players coming up. Super Bowl champions, James Washington, talked to Sherman Williams. His story is obviously it's different. It's going to be more on a personal things that he went through. I mean, he was part of the Super Bowl 30 team, which is cool. But he had a lot of stuff that's well documented in his book. He's got 3 chapters in Crimson Cowboy. Great book. Been reading the first chapter of it, but just amazing stories and obviously made some bad choices, but has turned that into a positive. And I think that's one of the best things that you could ever do if you make bad choices. If you can kind of give back and turn that negative into a positive, it's a good thing. So definitely check it out. And also, if you need some gear, we definitely still got it with Twisted Gorilla. Cowboys Cave merch, got our shirts out there. All you got to do is hit Cowboys Cave in the discount code. You get 15% off everything. So definitely check that out. And hopefully we'll see you guys tonight. Appreciate it. Have a great day.